Okay.
Baylen's wedding may be over, but the drama surrounding it definitely is not. From a reception that suddenly became overwhelming to questions about who actually paid for the big day, and now a debate over whether television should censor the very symptoms her show was trying to educate viewers about. Fans are arguing over almost everything. First up, what should have been Baylen and Colin's victory lap quickly turned tense as Baylen became overstimulated, her tics appeared to intensify, her family grew concerned, and Sammie stepped outside while dealing with anxiety of her own. Viewers immediately started questioning everything, from the alcohol to the family hovering around Baylen. Meanwhile, another debate is exploding over the wedding bill. Did Baylen and Colin pay most of it? Did their families help? Or did TLC quietly contribute more than viewers were told? And finally, one question about Baylen's language on television has sparked a much bigger argument about Tourette's, censorship, authenticity, and whether viewers are asking Baylen to make her reality more comfortable for them. So hit like, subscribe to House of Fame, turn on notifications, and let's start with what really happened when Baylen's dream reception became sensory overload. Baylen's dream wedding reception went from celebration to sensory overload faster than anyone around that table seemed prepared for. The vows were finished, she had officially married Colin, and this should have been the victory lap. Instead, the reception became one of the most uncomfortable moments of the night, as Baylen's tics appeared to intensify, and everybody around her started realizing just how overwhelmed she was becoming. Colin explains that earlier in the reception, Baylen's tics had actually been relatively minimal, but as the night continued, he could tell the stimulation was building. He stayed beside her, gently holding her hand, while Baylen's mother watched closely from behind and admitted that the combination of drinking and overstimulation seemed to be making things harder. And that immediately had viewers asking a pretty obvious question. If alcohol can potentially make the situation more difficult, why drink during an event that is already packed with noise, people, music, cameras, conversations, photos, food, expectations, and nonstop attention? Some fans argued the wedding should have included more planned breaks, a private space where Baylen and Colin could decompress, or even a smaller reception altogether. But that criticism also creates a tricky line, because Baylen should not automatically have to give up the big wedding she wanted simply because managing it might be harder for her. The more revealing part may actually be how everyone reacted once they noticed she was struggling. Colin appeared remarkably calm. He stayed close, held her hand, spoke gently, and did not turn the moment into a full-blown emergency. Baylen's mom, meanwhile, looked increasingly worried and stayed very close to the situation. And viewers definitely noticed that difference. Some commenters felt the hovering itself might have added even more pressure. Their argument was basically this: when somebody is already overwhelmed, repeatedly checking whether they are okay can accidentally give them one more thing to process. The concern may be completely genuine, but sometimes too much concern becomes another form of stimulation. Then Sammie entered the conversation. While Baylen's family was focused on Baylen possibly reaching what her mother described as a tic attack, Sammie was apparently dealing with intense anxiety of her own. A guest offered to sit with her, but Sammie simply said she was going outside to get a breath. That was enough for some viewers to accuse her of trying to make Baylen's wedding about herself. But other fans pushed back hard, pointing out that quietly removing yourself from a stressful situation is almost the opposite of demanding attention. If she had stayed inside, visibly struggling, people might have criticized that too. And through all of this, Colin may have come away looking like the calmest person in the room. While everyone else was reacting to Baylen's reaction, he seemed focused on Baylen herself, and several viewers praised exactly that. Stick around, because the wedding drama gets even messier once money enters the conversation. Next, we're breaking down the fight over who really paid for Baylen and Colin's wedding and whether TLC may have been more involved than viewers were told. The wedding looked expensive, the cameras are rolling, and now viewers want to know who actually picked up the tab. Baylen and Colin's big day became a major part of their storyline, so the money question was almost guaranteed to explode once fans started comparing what they saw on television with what they assumed was happening behind the scenes. And depending on which comment you read, TLC either paid for everything, paid for nothing, or somehow did both at the same time. The debate started with a pretty simple question. One viewer said Baylen and Colin obviously have their own income, but they did not believe the couple personally covered the entire wedding. That opened the floodgates. Some commenters immediately insisted TLC must have paid because the wedding was filmed for the show. Others were just as confident that Baylen and Colin paid for most of it themselves. Then another group argued that both families probably helped, meaning there may never have been one single person or company responsible for the entire bill. And here is where it gets interesting. Money was not some random detail fans invented after the wedding. Financial decisions were actually part of the season's storyline. Viewers remember discussions about budgets, expensive choices, changing plans, and making sacrifices. One commenter recalled that Baylen and Colin changed venues because another option cost more. Another said the show made it clear the couple had a budget, but also asked Baylen's parents for help. Fans even brought up Colin being willing to give up the horse so Baylen could have the rehearsal dress. So naturally, viewers are asking a bigger question. If TLC secretly covered everything, what exactly were all those budget conversations about? But there is one major problem with the theory that the network paid the entire bill. These receipts do not actually prove that happened. Yes, commenters claim TLC paid. Some say it confidently, but those are still viewer opinions, not confirmed statements from Baylen, Colin, their families, or TLC. And the opposite claims are just as unverified. Other viewers say Baylen and Colin covered the majority. Some believe both families contributed. One commenter even claims the couple paid part, Baylen's parents helped, and Colin's family handled rehearsal expenses. Everybody sounds certain, but nobody is showing the actual invoice. The most realistic possibility may be that the answer is more complicated than simply asking whether TLC paid. A televised wedding could involve the couple paying some costs, family contributions, possible production-related expenses, and even vendor discounts connected to television exposure. That does not make the wedding fake. Baylen and Colin still got married, and the emotions can still be completely genuine. The real issue for viewers is transparency. If the audience is being asked to invest in financial sacrifices and budget drama, people naturally want to know whether those stakes were as real as they appeared. The biggest fight around Baylen right now is not about what she said, but whether television should be expected to make her Tourette's more comfortable for everyone watching. It started with a viewer asking how television allows Baylen's constant vocabulary, and that question immediately split the audience. Some people heard a simple question about TV standards, while others heard something much harsher. Why is Baylen being allowed to show an uncomfortable part of her condition exactly as it happens? That distinction is everything. A huge part of the response was basically, if the language bothers you, change the channel. Several viewers argued that Baylen's verbalizations are presented as involuntary symptoms connected to Tourette syndrome, not as somebody casually choosing to swear for entertainment. One commenter even said the show had helped them understand Tourette's better and see how isolating the condition can be. And that creates a very awkward contradiction for reality television. These shows constantly sell viewers on authenticity. They want messy arguments, emotional breakdowns, uncomfortable family conversations, and people revealing things they might regret before the episode even ends. But when somebody's actual reality becomes uncomfortable in a way that cannot be packaged into a neat, inspirational moment, suddenly some viewers want that reality cleaned up. Now, there is a fairer version of this conversation. Some people were genuinely asking how the network handles profanity and why certain language apparently does not get censored. One commenter suggested that cable television operates differently from traditional broadcast television. That is a media question, but asking how TLC handles language is very different from asking why Baylen cannot simply stop saying certain things, and commenters were quick to make that distinction. Some viewers said parents may reasonably decide they do not want children hearing the language, but the obvious solution is choosing when to watch. They argued that Baylen should not have to reshape her symptoms around every possible viewer. Then came the skeptical side. A smaller group said they thought some scenes felt exaggerated or scripted, with one person claiming Baylen sounded different in interviews than she does on the series. But that's where the speculation has to stop being treated like proof. Reality television is edited. Producers select scenes. Certain moments get more airtime than others. None of these comments actually proves that Baylen is manufacturing her symptoms for cameras. And then the debate took an even stranger turn. One commenter suggested the original provocative question itself might be engagement bait, claiming they had seen something very similar posted elsewhere and wondering whether controversy was being stirred up around the finale. Again, that's only a viewer theory, but if the goal was getting people to argue, it definitely worked. The thread exploded into debates about Tourette's, censorship, parenting, cable television, reality TV editing, and whether the show is educational or exploitative. And maybe that's the wildest irony here. Baylen is being criticized over verbalizations viewers describe as involuntary, while people with complete control over their keyboards are voluntarily tearing each other apart over them. Don't go anywhere, because after 3 very different controversies, there's one bigger pattern connecting them all. In the recap outro, we're pulling together the wedding overload, the mystery money debate, and the censorship backlash to see what all this reaction really says about Baylen, Colin, and the viewers watching them.